Have you ever felt that your legs still have strength, but your steps just aren't steady anymore? You try to move forward, but something doesn't quite click. Your legs hesitate, lag behind, or feel disconnected from your will. Minor stumbles that once meant nothing now feel like serious warnings. And deep inside, a little voice wonders, is this just aging? Many people over 50 quietly accept these signs as a natural part of getting older. But in truth, these changes may not be normal at all. They may be symptoms of something deeper, a silent deterioration in the nervous system caused by a lack of key nutrients your body no longer absorbs as efficiently as it once did. According to Harvard Health Publishing, one hidden reason millions of older adults lose balance, coordination, and muscle reflexes is due to a deficiency in specific vitamins that support nerve health. And the good news is, it can be fixed. Not with medication or painful therapy, but with the right combination of nutrients your body already knows how to use. In this video, we'll uncover 3 essential nutrients that can help restore your reflexes, improve leg coordination, and reduce your risk of falls, gently, naturally, and effectively. Let's begin with one of the most overlooked but powerful vitamins, vitamin B12. This tiny nutrient acts like a messenger inside your nervous system, helping your brain send movement signals to your legs and muscles. If you've ever experienced delayed leg responses, tingling in your calves or feet, or a strange needle-like sensation in your soles, your body might be signaling a B12 deficiency. What makes B12 so crucial is its role in communication. Imagine this. When you decide to walk, your brain sends a message through your spinal cord and nerves to tell your legs to move. Vitamin B12 ensures this message gets delivered accurately and quickly. But when B12 levels are low, the signal becomes distorted, delayed, or doesn't arrive at all. That's why many older adults feel like their legs are slow, uncoordinated, or weak even though their muscles still seem strong. According to the Journal of Clinical Endocrinology and Metabolism, seniors with low B12 levels are significantly more likely to experience weak leg muscles, poor balance, and delayed reflexes. Some also report numbness in their hands and feet, chronic fatigue, or slight leg tremors while standing still. It's not just uncomfortable, it's dangerous. Falls remain one of the leading causes of hospitalization and loss of independence among the elderly. But why does this happen more with age? One reason is that, as we grow older, our stomach produces less acid, making it harder to absorb B12 from food. Add to that common long-term use of antacid medications, and you have a perfect storm for B12 deficiency. To make things worse, many older adults don't regularly eat B12-rich foods like liver, red meat, seafood, eggs, or whole milk. A single cooked slice of beef liver, about 85 grams, provides over 70 micrograms of B12, more than 10 times the recommended daily intake. Other excellent sources include salmon, mackerel, chicken, eggs, and cheese. If you're vegetarian or have trouble digesting meat, consider fortified options like soy milk, enriched cereal, or nutritional yeast. But here's the catch. Even if you eat the right foods, your body may still struggle to absorb enough B12. That's why many doctors recommend taking B12 as a supplement, especially in its methylcobalamin form, which is highly absorbable. Depending on your needs, daily doses may range from 500 to 1,000 micrograms or more, especially if taken sublingually or via injection. The great news is that B12 is water-soluble, so your body safely excretes any excess in your urine. Another surprising benefit of restoring your B12 levels is improved mental clarity. Many people report that within just a few weeks, they feel more alert, sleep more soundly, and notice less fatigue and brain fog. So, if you've been feeling heaviness in your legs, losing balance when turning, or waking up with unexplained soreness in your thighs or calves, don't ignore it. A simple blood test can uncover a deficiency that might be silently affecting your mobility. Supplementing B12 isn't just about fixing nerve issues, it's about preventing future falls. Because strong legs aren't just about muscle, they require a healthy nervous system that reacts quickly and accurately. And that's exactly where B12 plays its most important role. But that's only one part of the picture. Because while your muscles need nerve support, your bones and joints need something else to stay mobile and pain-free. That brings us to the second vitamin, vitamin K, and the role it plays in keeping your joints flexible and your bones strong. In the next section, we'll discover how this often overlooked nutrient could be the missing link between leg pain and long-term mobility. Have you ever had the strange feeling that your legs are still strong, but they just don't seem to obey like they used to? You wake up in the morning, stretch your arms, feel mostly fine, and then you stand up. That's when it happens. Your steps feel unsure. Your knees wobble a little. Sometimes your heel doesn't quite lift as quickly as you expected. And while you haven't lost strength entirely, something about the way your legs move just feels off. It's easy to brush it off at first. You might think, well, I didn't sleep well, or maybe I walked too much yesterday. But when this happens more than once, when it becomes something you notice every few days or even every morning, it starts to raise concerns. Many older adults experience this disconnect. The mind wants to go, but the body hesitates. You might even know exactly what you want to do. Turn left, climb the stairs, step over a curb, but your legs don't react as quickly as they used to. Can feel like your legs are resisting you. Not in pain, not weak, but just uncooperative. And here's the surprising truth. This isn't always about muscles or joints. In fact, one of the biggest causes of this hesitation in leg movement comes from deep within your nervous system. The problem isn't that your legs have forgotten how to move. It's that the communication between your brain and your muscles is no longer clear. The signal is getting delayed, distorted, or sometimes lost. And that miscommunication can lead to imbalance, awkward steps, and even dangerous stumbles. According to Harvard Health Publishing, one of the top hidden causes of falls in people over 60 is not muscle loss. It's a decline in nerve signal quality due to nutrient deficiency. That means your legs may still have strength, but the wiring that controls them isn't firing right. Imagine this: you're at a traffic light, and your brain is the green light. It sends the go signal to your legs. But if the cables are worn, the message arrives slowly or not at all. That's when you trip, or feel unsure, or hesitate when stepping off the sidewalk. And this is why so many people feel puzzled. They haven't had an injury. Their muscles don't hurt. They've even been eating normally, but their legs still feel unstable. One of my patients, a 67-year-old retired teacher named Lon, described it best. It's like my legs don't trust me anymore. I tell them to move, but there's always a delay. I feel like I have to double-check every step. This wasn't weakness, it was miscommunication. And that's where nutrition quietly enters the picture. You see, the human body doesn't just rely on exercise to maintain balance. It relies on nutrients that support the health of nerves, reflexes, and muscle coordination. Among the most important, vitamin B12, vitamin K, and potassium nutrients that, when deficient, can affect your legs in surprising ways. These three form a kind of mobility triangle. B12 handles the nerve signals, K keeps your joints and bones aligned, and potassium helps muscles contract and relax at the right rhythm. But here's the challenge. As we age, our body becomes less efficient at absorbing and using these nutrients. Even if we eat the right foods, digestion slows down. And if we're on medications for heartburn, diabetes, or blood pressure, which many seniors are, absorption gets blocked even further. It's no wonder that even active seniors who walk daily, eat home-cooked meals, and try their best to stay healthy, still feel like their legs are letting them down. And the consequences go far beyond just physical. When you begin to lose trust in your ability to walk confidently, it chips away at your independence. You start holding on to walls. You hesitate before stairs. You skip walks you used to enjoy. Over time, fear of falling replaces the joy of movement. And that fear is what truly limits a person's freedom. But it doesn't have to stay that way. There is hope. In fact, most of these changes are reversible if we understand what the body is missing and restore it gently. That's what this video is about. It's not about pills or quick fixes. It's about understanding the silent role nutrition plays in mobility after 60. In the next few chapters, we'll look at each of the 3 key nutrients your legs need to move smoothly. We'll see why vitamin B12 is essential for brain-to-muscle communication, how vitamin K directs calcium away from joints and into bones, and how potassium helps your muscles fire properly with each step. We'll also explore which foods naturally provide these nutrients, how to spot signs of deficiency before they cause harm, and how small changes, like adding certain vegetables or drinks to your daily meals, can make a big difference in just a few weeks. Most importantly, we'll reframe the way we think about aging, because feeling unsteady doesn't mean you're just getting old. It might mean your body is asking for help. And help doesn't have to be complicated. It starts with listening. It starts with knowledge. It starts with one step, taken with care and awareness. As we begin this journey, I invite you to reflect. Have your legs been trying to tell you something lately? Do you feel hesitation where there used to be confidence? If so, you're not alone, and you're not powerless. Let's walk together through this path of gentle recovery. One nutrient, one habit, and one smart choice at a time. When you lose your balance, most people assume it's because your muscles have weakened or your joints are aging. And yes, over time, the body does slow down. But what's surprising is how often these problems actually begin at the micronutrient level. That is, not because your legs have failed you, but because your nerve signals are breaking down due to a quiet, creeping deficiency inside your body. We're not talking about massive, obvious gaps in nutrition. No, the kind of deficiency we're focused on is more subtle, one that builds up slowly over months or even years. And when it finally shows itself, it does so not with pain, but with hesitation. A second delay before stepping, a misstep when turning, a stumble when there's nothing in your way, and most importantly, a growing sense of fear. The fear that your legs might fail you when you need them most. One of the most overlooked causes behind these issues is vitamin B12 deficiency. While this nutrient is well known for energy and brain support, few people realize how critical it is to nerve health and muscle coordination, especially in older adults. B12 acts like an internal postal system, delivering precise signals from your brain to your muscles, telling them when and how to move. But imagine what happens when that mail system slows down. Suddenly, your legs receive messages too late, or they interpret them incorrectly. That's when you start to notice your steps feel unsure, like you're not quite in control. A report from Harvard Health Publishing confirms that many adults over 60 experience mobility decline due to poor nerve signaling, not just muscle atrophy. In fact, several studies show that even with normal strength, low B12 levels can cause leg weakness, poor reflexes, and instability, especially when rising from a chair or walking in low light. You may be surprised to learn that your stomach plays a big role here. In order to absorb B12, your digestive system must produce both stomach acid and a protein called intrinsic factor. But as we age, acid production drops and intrinsic factor becomes scarce. Meaning even if you eat foods rich in B12, your body can't absorb them effectively. On top of that, many older adults take antacid medications, which further reduce stomach acid and block B12 absorption. It becomes a cycle. You eat normally, but your body can't process the nutrients. And so, deficiency sets in slowly, silently. The symptoms can be subtle at first. You might feel a slight tingling in your toes. Maybe your calves feel heavy after walking. Or perhaps you notice a strange fatigue in your thighs that wasn't there before. Some people describe it as walking through sand or mud, even though the ground is perfectly dry. That dragging sensation, that feeling of resistance in the legs, often points back to neurological stress caused by low B12. What's worse, these signs are frequently misdiagnosed. People are told it's arthritis or just getting older. But once they start supplementing B12 or eating B12-rich foods consistently, the changes can be dramatic. One of my longtime patients, a 72-year-old gardener named Min, once told me, "Doctor, it wasn't just my legs. I started forgetting things. I was tired all day, but couldn't sleep. I felt like I was losing myself." After a simple test confirmed his B12 levels were low, we started daily supplementation. Within 3 weeks, his energy came back. His legs stopped shaking. And for the first time in months, he told me he walked around his garden without holding onto the fence. That's the power of catching this early. You don't need to wait until things get worse. You don't need to lose your confidence. You just need to understand what your body is missing and give it back. So, what causes B12 levels to fall even when your diet seems okay? Aside from aging and medication, another big factor is insufficient intake of animal-based foods. B12 is found primarily in foods like liver, beef, eggs, shellfish, and dairy products. If you eat little meat or follow a vegetarian diet, you may be getting too little B12 without realizing it. Even if you do eat meat, the absorption issue still applies. That's why many doctors recommend supplements, especially for people over 60. The most absorbable form is methylcobalamin, often taken in tablet form under the tongue, sublingual, or as an injection for more severe deficiencies. The recommended daily intake for healthy adults is around 2.4 micrograms, but seniors may need much more, sometimes up to 1,000 micrograms daily, because of reduced absorption. The good news? B12 is water-soluble. That means your body simply flushes out what it doesn't need, making it very safe even at higher doses. But it's not just about safety. It's about restoring your confidence. When you walk without worrying, when you stand up from bed without pausing, when you go to the market without holding onto a companion's arm. That's freedom, and that's what B12 can help you reclaim. Alongside B12, other nutrients like vitamin K and potassium also play a quiet, powerful role in leg strength and mobility, but we'll explore those in the next sections. For now, the most important thing to understand is this: your unsteady steps may not be about age. They may be a whisper from your nervous system, asking for support. And often, that support starts with a small, simple vitamin. One that's easy to overlook, but hard to live without. If you've been noticing symptoms like numbness, unsteady steps, leg fatigue, or poor balance, don't ignore them. Ask your doctor for a B12 test. It's quick, it's simple, and it might change everything. Because when your legs stop hesitating, your life moves forward again with clarity, strength, and grace. After the age of 60, many people start noticing changes in how their body moves. Not just in strength or flexibility, but in the way their body responds. The brain still sends commands. You want to turn, to step, to balance. But the execution feels sluggish. It's not always pain. It's not always visible. It's a quiet delay, a sense of disconnect between intention and motion. This delay often stems not from your muscles, but from the nerves that control them, and specifically from how well those nerves can send and receive signals. So why does this nerve signaling begin to break down with age? To understand that, we first need to look at how your nervous system works. Imagine your body as a giant orchestra, and your brain is the conductor. Every movement, lifting your foot, bending your knee, even keeping your balance when standing still, requires hundreds of tiny instructions to be sent in perfect rhythm. These messages travel along your peripheral nerves, which act like electrical wires carrying signals from your brain and spinal cord to your arms and legs. But unlike copper wires, your nerves are living tissues. They need nourishment, maintenance, and repair. And as we age, several factors start to interfere with this process. One of the most critical factors is myelin sheath degeneration. The myelin sheath is a protective coating that surrounds your nerves and helps signals travel faster. Over time, this sheath can wear down, especially if your body lacks certain vitamins like B12, vitamin E, and folate. When the sheath deteriorates, nerve signals move more slowly or get lost entirely. That's when you feel tingling, numbness, weakness, or poor coordination. Another factor is reduced blood flow to the nerves. With age, arteries can narrow or harden, a process called atherosclerosis, which limits the supply of oxygen and nutrients to your extremities. Nerves are especially vulnerable to this because they rely on a constant, high-quality blood supply. When blood flow diminishes, nerve cells begin to suffer, and their ability to send clear messages weakens. That's why conditions like diabetes or high blood pressure, which affect circulation, are closely linked to nerve damage, especially in the legs and feet. A third reason involves oxidative stress and inflammation. As you grow older, your body accumulates more oxidative damage caused by free radicals and produces more inflammatory molecules, especially if you have chronic conditions. This environment creates a slow burn that can damage nerve endings and disrupt neurotransmitter activity. It's like static on a phone line. The message is still being sent, but it arrives distorted or unclear. Then there's the role of gut health. You might not think your digestive system affects your balance or movement, but it does indirectly but powerfully. The gut is where your body absorbs key nutrients that support nerve function. However, after age 60, stomach acid production declines significantly, and the lining of the gut becomes less efficient. This makes it harder to absorb B12, magnesium, potassium, and other critical minerals. Even if you're eating well, you may not be absorbing well. That means your nervous system is quietly running on empty. Let me tell you about Mrs. Na, a 68-year-old grandmother who came to me because she had been falling more frequently. She assumed it was her knees, but scans showed her joints were stable. She wasn't losing muscle either. What we discovered was a severe B12 deficiency, and she had no idea. Her diet was modest but fairly balanced. The real issue? Years of acid reflux medication, which had blocked her B12 absorption. After 3 months of targeted nutrition and nerve support supplements, her reflexes returned. She told me, "It's like someone flipped a switch. My legs started listening again." This story illustrates something important. Aging doesn't automatically mean decline. Sometimes it just means we need to support the body in new ways that respect the changes happening inside. So how do you know if your nerve signaling is starting to fade? Here are some common signs to watch for. Feeling your legs are asleep more often, especially after sitting or lying down. Experiencing pins and needles in your feet without pressure. Frequent cramps or tremors at rest, and a growing hesitation when walking in unfamiliar environments or at night. If any of these sound familiar, it might be time to evaluate your nerve health. Talk to your doctor about checking B12 and folate levels. Consider reviewing your medications, especially antacids, blood pressure drugs, and diabetes medications that affect nutrient absorption. And most importantly, be mindful of your diet. Foods like beef liver, eggs, mackerel, spinach, avocados, and almonds are all rich in nerve protective nutrients. Fermented foods like kimchi or yogurt can also support gut health, which in turn helps with nutrient absorption. Another helpful tip is to stay physically active, but gently. Activities like Tai Chi, walking, or light yoga don't just help muscles. They improve nerve pathways by reinforcing motion signal feedback loops. Every time you move, you teach your nerves to respond. Every step, no matter how small, is a form of communication between your brain and body. And the more you do it, the more fluent that communication becomes. Of course, in some cases, professional support may be needed. If you're experiencing significant nerve symptoms, your doctor might recommend nerve conduction studies or refer you to a neurologist. But for most people, the first line of defense and healing is proper nutrition and lifestyle adjustments. That's why we're building this video step by step, to give you the tools to reclaim your control. As we move forward, we'll dive into the practical side, what foods you can eat, what supplements help most, and how to tailor your habits based on your specific health history. But for now, remember this: your nervous system is not aging on its own. It is aging alongside your choices, your habits, and your support. And with the right adjustments, you can slow or even reverse much of that process. Because your balance isn't gone. It's just waiting to be reconnected. Let's talk about one of the most powerful, yet often ignored, connections in the human body. The communication line between your brain and your legs. Every step you take, every small movement of your foot or shift in your balance, starts with an electrical signal sent from the brain down through the spinal cord and out to the nerves in your legs. And the nutrient that plays a critical role in making sure this line stays strong and clear is vitamin B12. Think of B12 as the technician behind the scenes, constantly repairing the wires, keeping the signal strong, and making sure your legs know exactly what the brain is telling them to do. When B12 is present in the right amounts, your movements feel smooth, balanced, and confident. But when B12 is lacking, the wires start to fray. The messages slow down, or they don't reach their destination at all. That's when you begin to feel the hesitations. You go to step up on a curb, but your foot doesn't respond fast enough. You turn around too quickly, and your legs lag behind. Or you find yourself gripping the wall or the edge of the table. Not because your legs are weak, but because they aren't receiving clear instructions. That's how powerful B12 really is. One of the first signs of a B12 deficiency is sensory disruption in the legs, tingling, numbness, or a sensation like ants crawling across your skin. Many people mistake this for poor circulation, but the real culprit is often the myelin sheath, the protective covering around your nerves. Without enough B12, this sheath deteriorates, leaving the nerves exposed and vulnerable to misfiring or short circuits. When that happens, your reflexes become slower, your posture more unstable, and your balance less reliable. This isn't speculation, it's backed by decades of research, including a clinical study in the Journal of Neurology, which found that older adults with even mild B12 deficiency had significantly slower gait speed and coordination. Mid-roll break here. What makes B12 deficiency even trickier is that it can go unnoticed for years. The symptoms often creep in quietly. A bit more fatigue, a little forgetfulness, a tendency to trip or lose balance when you didn't before. It's not until these signs start interfering with daily life that many people seek help. And even then, it's often misdiagnosed as arthritis, Parkinson's, or just getting older. But with a simple blood test, B12 levels can be checked and corrected. In many cases, the turnaround is remarkable. Let me tell you about Mr. Ben, a 70-year-old carpenter who came to my clinic because he was starting to fall more often. His family was worried he might need a walker soon. After checking his levels, we discovered his B12 was dangerously low. We started a course of sublingual methylcobalamin and increased his intake of foods like beef liver, sardines, and eggs. Within 6 weeks, not only did he stop falling, but he told me he could climb stairs again without fear. He said it felt like the fog in his legs had lifted. That's not magic. That's biology working correctly, finally. So how can you support your brain-to-leg connection using B12? First, understand that B12 comes mostly from animal-based foods. Liver, red meats, fish like tuna or salmon, shellfish, dairy, and eggs. For those who eat very little of these, whether for health, religious, or personal reasons, fortified foods like plant-based milks, cereals, and nutritional yeast are useful alternatives. However, absorption is often the real issue. As mentioned earlier, age reduces stomach acid, which is essential for freeing B12 from protein in food. That's why many seniors, even those with good diets, still need supplementation. The safest and most absorbable form of supplementation is methylcobalamin, the active form of B12 that your body can use immediately. It can be taken as a lozenge under the tongue, which bypasses the digestive system and goes straight into the bloodstream. For more severe cases, doctors may prescribe intramuscular injections, especially when neurological symptoms are already present. The typical daily need for adults is 2.4 micrograms, but for seniors, especially those over 65, many professionals recommend 500 to 1,000 micrograms per day to replenish stores safely. Another benefit of B12 is that it doesn't just help your legs, it also supports your mind. Studies show that B12 deficiency can contribute to mood swings, memory issues, and even depression in older adults. Many patients report improved focus and better sleep after consistent supplementation. That's because B12 helps produce serotonin, dopamine, and other key neurotransmitters that regulate your brain's chemistry. If you've been struggling with unsteady walking, dragging legs, or odd sensations in your feet, even if your strength seems fine, there's a good chance that your nervous system is calling out for B12. It's not about adding another pill to your cabinet. It's about giving your body the tools it needs to repair and reconnect itself. And the earlier you act, the more effective the recovery. In the next part, we'll take a closer look at the warning signs of B12 deficiency specifically in the legs. Because while the brain-leg connection begins with nutrition, it continues with awareness. And once you understand what your body is trying to tell you, you can start walking forward not just physically, but with confidence in every step. It often begins with something small. You get up from a chair and feel a strange tingling in your feet. Or perhaps you notice a subtle numbness when you're lying down, a sense that your legs aren't entirely awake. Maybe your calves feel tight even though you haven't exercised. These little signs might seem harmless at first, but for many people over 60, they are early clues of something deeper, a vitamin B12 deficiency that's quietly disrupting the way your legs function and feel. One of the most telling signs of B12 deficiency is a numb or tingling sensation in the lower limbs. Some people describe it as pins and needles, others as a fuzzy or vibrating feeling. This happens because B12 is essential for the health of your peripheral nerves, the nerves that stretch from your spine down into your arms, legs, and feet. When these nerves are starved of B12, the protective myelin sheath around them breaks down. Without that sheath, nerve signals become erratic, misfired, or delayed, leading to a strange, often unpleasant sensation in your legs. Another common symptom is leg heaviness or fatigue, especially after short walks or when standing for more than a few minutes. You might feel like you're dragging your legs, even though your muscles still seem strong. That's because, without B12, your nervous system can't efficiently communicate with your muscles. Your legs don't respond as quickly, and your gait becomes slower, less coordinated, and more cautious. This not only makes walking harder, it also increases the risk of losing balance or falling, one of the most serious health threats for older adults. Some people notice leg cramps at night, particularly in the calves or soles of the feet. While cramps can have many causes, such as dehydration or potassium deficiency, chronic B12 deficiency is often an overlooked trigger. Inadequate nerve communication leads to muscle misfiring. Your legs tighten suddenly, without reason, and the pain wakes you from sleep. If this happens regularly, it's worth investigating your B12 levels. You may also experience burning or sharp pain in the feet or lower legs, often without any physical injury or strain. This type of nerve pain is called peripheral neuropathy, and it's common in those with long-term B12 deficiency. The pain may feel deep, shooting, or electric, like your nerves are overreacting to normal sensations. Some people become overly sensitive to touch. Others feel disconnected, like they're walking on cotton or that their shoes are too tight when they're not. One of my patients, Uncle Hung, 74 years old, described it this way: "When I walk, it feels like there's a cushion under my feet. I can't feel the ground properly. It makes me nervous because I'm afraid I'll misstep and fall." We ran a B12 test. His levels were dangerously low. After 2 months of consistent supplementation and dietary adjustments, the strange cushion sensation faded, and his confidence returned. In more advanced stages of deficiency, people may notice balance problems, particularly in the dark or when closing their eyes. That's because B12 also plays a key role in your proprioception, the body's ability to sense where it is in space. If you close your eyes and can't tell if your foot is lifted or touching the ground, that's a red flag. Many falls at night, getting up to use the restroom, for example, happen because of this impaired sensory feedback. Another subtle clue is unexplained muscle twitching, especially in the thighs or calves. If your legs occasionally spasm or feel jumpy at rest, it could be a sign your nerves are firing without clear signals. This often goes unnoticed or is blamed on age, but again, a simple blood test can tell you if B12 is the issue. Here's an important note. These symptoms don't always come together. Some people may only have numb toes. Others might struggle with balance but feel no pain. The progression varies from person to person, depending on how long the deficiency has been present, how much the body can store, and whether there are other underlying health issues like diabetes or thyroid imbalance. Also, B12 deficiency can affect both legs symmetrically or just one side more than the other. That's why it can be confused with sciatica or arthritis. But unlike those conditions, B12-related nerve issues are systemic, meaning they affect the body more broadly and often come with additional signs like fatigue, irritability, or memory problems. If you've noticed any of these signs, especially if more than one applies, it's time to take action. Ask your doctor for a serum B12 test. Normal levels typically range between 200 to 900 picograms per milliliter, but many experts believe symptoms can appear even in the low normal range, around 250 to 350. If you're experiencing nerve-related symptoms, your doctor may also recommend additional tests like methylmalonic acid, MMA, or homocysteine to assess functional B12 status more accurately. The good news? These symptoms are reversible in most cases, especially if caught early. Nerve tissue can regenerate, myelin can repair, and your coordination, balance, and leg strength can return. But the key is not to wait. Once the damage becomes chronic, recovery becomes slower and more uncertain. So what should you do in the meantime? Start incorporating more B12-rich foods into your meals. Excellent sources include beef liver, clams, sardines, tuna, salmon, dairy products, and eggs. If you're vegetarian or vegan, fortified nutritional yeast, soy milk, and cereals are your best options. Depending on your levels, a B12 supplement may also be necessary. especially in the form of methylcobalamin, which is better absorbed than the synthetic form cyanocobalamin. If you're already taking supplements but still experience symptoms, check whether your body is actually absorbing them properly. Some people need sublingual B12, placed under the tongue, or injections to bypass digestive issues, especially if they've had gastrointestinal surgery, chronic gastritis, or long-term use of acid blockers. Most importantly, listen to what your legs are telling you. They're not just tired, they might be trying to speak. And the language they're using is sensation. Tingling, heaviness, numbness, twitching, unsteadiness. Don't ignore the message. In the next part, we'll explore how simple changes to your daily meals, just a few ingredients added here and there, can naturally boost your B12 levels and rebuild the foundation of strength from the inside out. Because healing doesn't always start in the pharmacy. Sometimes it starts in your kitchen. Now that we understand how vital vitamin B12 is to the strength and coordination of your legs, let's explore the most natural and sustainable way to restore it, through food. Supplements can be effective, but whenever possible, giving your body what it needs through real meals is gentler, more nourishing, and often longer lasting. Fortunately, B12 exists in a variety of everyday foods, many of which are familiar, affordable, and deeply rooted in traditional cooking. You don't have to overhaul your diet. Just a few thoughtful additions to your routine can make a big difference over time. Let's begin with the king of B12-rich foods, beef liver. It may not be everyone's favorite, but it's hard to beat in terms of nutritional density. Just one 85-gram cooked slice provides over 70 micrograms of B12. That's nearly 30 times the average daily requirement. If you enjoy traditional dishes like stir-fried liver with garlic or liver porridge, you're already giving your nerves a powerful boost. However, liver should be eaten in moderation. Once or twice a week is enough, especially for those with high cholesterol or iron-related conditions. Next, let's talk about shellfish, especially clams, oysters, and mussels. These ocean foods are extremely high in B12 and also rich in iron and omega-3 fatty acids. Just 3 ounces of clams can provide over 80 micrograms of B12. They're a great option if you enjoy seafood or live near coastal markets. Steam them lightly with ginger and green onions for a comforting, nerve-supporting meal. Fatty fish such as salmon, mackerel, tuna, and sardines are also excellent sources. A single grilled salmon fillet, about 150 grams, contains more than your entire daily requirement of B12. Alongside healthy fats that support brain function and reduce inflammation, try incorporating fish into your meals at least 2 to 3 times per week. A simple dish of steamed fish with lemon and dill, or a warm bowl of sardines and tomato stew, can support both your nerves and your heart. For many households, eggs and dairy are already staples, and that's good news for your legs. B12 is found in egg yolks, whole milk, cheese, and yogurt. For the best results, choose full-fat or low-processed versions, as they retain more nutrients. A breakfast of scrambled eggs with cheese, or a snack of plain yogurt with a few nuts, delivers both protein and B12. Especially helpful if you're starting your day feeling sluggish or imbalanced. Now, if you're someone who doesn't eat meat, don't worry. There are plant-based options, but you'll need to be more intentional. Natural plant foods don't contain B12 on their own, but many are now fortified, meaning B12 has been added during processing. Common fortified options include soy milk, almond milk, oat milk, nutritional yeast, and breakfast cereals. For example, a cup of fortified soy milk may offer up to 3 micrograms of B12. Nutritional yeast, often used as a cheesy topping or seasoning, can contain 2 to 5 micrograms per tablespoon, depending on the brand. Always check the label to ensure B12 is listed. Another tip is to combine your B12 foods with vitamin C-rich vegetables like tomatoes, bell peppers, or citrus. While vitamin C doesn't directly increase B12, it supports overall digestion and absorption, especially in seniors with sluggish gut function. Adding a slice of orange to your breakfast or sprinkling lemon juice over grilled fish is a simple way to help your body get more from your meals. Also important is how you prepare your food. Long, high-heat cooking can degrade B12, especially in meats and milk. Try steaming, poaching, or lightly sautéing instead of frying or overboiling. The goal is to retain as much natural B12 as possible while keeping the dish gentle on your stomach. What about fermented foods like kimchi or natto? While they're excellent for gut health, which indirectly helps with B12 absorption, they don't provide much B12 themselves unless they are specifically fortified. Still, including them in your diet can enhance your body's ability to absorb nutrients overall, so they're worth adding. One last thing to keep in mind: consistency matters more than quantity. It's better to include moderate amounts of B12-rich foods daily than to eat a massive amount once a month. Think of it like watering a plant. You don't pour in a bucket once a week and hope it survives. You give it a little water each day. Your nervous system works the same way. Let's take an example. A daily meal plan that supports B12 naturally. Morning: 2 eggs cooked in olive oil plus whole grain toast plus small bowl of plain yogurt with banana. Lunch: grilled salmon with lemon, sautéed spinach and brown rice. Snack: a cup of fortified soy milk or a boiled egg. Dinner: stir-fried beef with vegetables or tofu with fortified noodles plus miso soup with seaweed. Optional: a sprinkle of nutritional yeast over soup or roasted vegetables. This simple routine easily provides over 10 to 15 micrograms of B12 daily, well above the minimum requirement for adults, and especially helpful for those over 60 who may not absorb B12 as efficiently. If you're already struggling with symptoms of deficiency, numbness, unsteady gait, fatigue, you may still need supplementation in addition to food. But by nourishing your body with B12-rich meals, you're building a foundation that supports long-term recovery and reduces your reliance on pills alone. Food is powerful, not just for energy or comfort, but as medicine. And when it comes to leg strength, balance, and coordination, especially in later life, every ingredient you choose is either helping your nerves fire correctly or slowly letting them fade. So next time you're at the market, think of your legs. Reach for the salmon. Choose the egg. Buy that can of sardines. Let your plate become your first act of prevention. You may be eating the right foods. You may even be taking supplements. But for some reason, your body still shows signs of vitamin B12 deficiency. Numbness, leg fatigue, balance issues. Feels confusing, even frustrating. But there's a simple reason why this happens, especially after the age of 60. Your body changes how it absorbs B12. And unless we understand those changes, even the best diet may not give you the results you expect. Let's start with the basics. To get B12 from food into your bloodstream, your body relies on a complex and delicate process. When you eat something rich in B12, say a piece of liver or a boiled egg, the vitamin is tightly bound to protein. In order to extract it, your stomach must first produce enough hydrochloric acid to break that bond. Once freed, B12 then needs to bind with a special protein called intrinsic factor, which is produced by cells in your stomach lining. Only this B12 intrinsic factor combination can be absorbed by your small intestine, specifically in a region called the ileum. This entire system works beautifully in younger people. But after age 60, it starts to break down quietly. The first problem? Stomach acid declines naturally with age. This condition, known as hypochlorhydria, affects a large percentage of seniors. Without enough acid, your stomach can't fully separate B12 from the protein in food, meaning the vitamin just passes through your digestive system without ever being absorbed. Many people over 65 may have excellent diets, full of eggs, meats, and dairy, but still suffer from deficiency because their stomach simply can't unlock the nutrients. The second problem is the decrease in intrinsic factor. As we grow older, the stomach lining becomes thinner and less efficient. The cells that produce intrinsic factor may shrink or stop functioning altogether, especially in people with chronic gastritis, stomach infections like H. pylori, or a history of autoimmune conditions. Without intrinsic factor, your small intestine cannot absorb B12, no matter how much you consume. This explains why some elderly individuals continue to show symptoms of low B12 even when they're eating well or taking multivitamins. The issue isn't intake, it's absorption. And there's more. Many seniors take medications that further block B12 uptake. These include antacids or proton pump inhibitors, PPIs, used for acid reflux or ulcers, which reduce stomach acid production. Metformin, a common diabetes medication, which interferes with B12 absorption in the intestine. Diuretics, often used for high blood pressure or heart issues. which may speed up the excretion of water-soluble vitamins like B12. Certain antibiotics or long-term aspirin use, which can inflame the digestive lining over time. If you've been on any of these medications for more than a few months, especially in combination, it's worth checking your B12 levels, even if you don't have severe symptoms yet. Silent deficiencies are common, and early action is far easier than trying to reverse nerve damage later. One of my patients, Ms. Ha, age 69, was active, cheerful, and had a healthy diet. But she started complaining of foggy thinking, sore legs when climbing stairs, and occasional clumsiness. She chalked it up to age. But after testing, we discovered her B12 was very low, despite eating eggs and fish regularly. The reason? She had been on antacids for over a decade due to acid reflux. Her stomach simply wasn't able to release the B12 from her food. We switched her to sublingual B12 tablets and worked with her doctor to reduce her medication dosage. Within 6 weeks, she noticed a major improvement in her balance and focus. So, what can you do if your body isn't absorbing B12 well? The first step is to switch to easier forms of B12. Instead of relying only on food, consider methylcobalamin sublingual tablets, which dissolve under the tongue and bypass the digestive system entirely. This route delivers B12 straight into the bloodstream and is ideal for older adults with absorption issues. Another option is intramuscular B12 injections, usually administered weekly or monthly under a doctor's care. These are especially helpful for people with severe deficiency or those who've had gastrointestinal surgery. The second step is to support your digestive health naturally. While you can't stop aging, you can slow the decline of stomach function by eating slowly and chewing thoroughly to stimulate digestive enzymes. Avoiding overly processed or spicy foods that irritate the stomach lining, including fermented foods like plain yogurt, kefir, miso, or sauerkraut, which nourish the gut microbiome. Limiting chronic use of acid blockers. Speak with your doctor about alternatives or shorter-term plans. You may also benefit from supplementing with digestive bitters or enzymes to gently boost your stomach acid if needed, but always under the guidance of a professional. And finally, get tested regularly. Even if you're feeling fine, check your B12 levels every 1 to 2 years once you reach age 60, especially if you're taking any medications that interfere with absorption. Early detection is key. The longer the deficiency goes untreated, the harder it becomes to repair nerve damage. Here's the good news. Even if your body isn't absorbing B12 well anymore, you can still take control. You can choose better forms, adjust your meals, and reduce hidden blocks to absorption. Aging may be natural, but decline is not inevitable. With awareness and the right support, your nervous system can stay sharp, responsive, and well-connected, even in your 70s, 80s, and beyond. So if you've ever wondered why your B12 numbers seem low despite your efforts, now you know. It's not your fault. It's biology, and it's manageable. In our next part, we'll explore how to supplement B12 safely and effectively, so you can feel confident that your legs, your balance, and your energy are finally supported the way they deserve. Once you've identified a vitamin B12 deficiency, or even just strong signs of one, the next natural question is, how do I supplement correctly and safely? For many older adults, eating more liver or seafood simply isn't enough. As we've discussed, aging reduces stomach acid, impairs absorption, and complicates even the best dietary habits. That's why proper B12 supplementation becomes not just helpful, but essential. The good news is that B12 is one of the safest nutrients to supplement. It's water-soluble, meaning your body takes what it needs and naturally flushes out the rest through urine. There's virtually no risk of overdose. In fact, many people benefit from doses far higher than the standard recommendation, especially in cases of poor absorption or existing neurological symptoms. Let's begin with dosage. For healthy adults, the daily requirement of B12 is around 2.4 micrograms. However, for seniors, especially those over 60, therapeutic doses range from 500 to 1,000 micrograms daily, depending on individual needs. This might sound like a lot, but it's necessary to account for reduced absorption. If you're already experiencing leg weakness, tingling, or memory issues, this higher level is often required just to bring your levels back to normal. Next, let's look at form. Not all B12 supplements are created equal. The two main types you'll find are cyanocobalamin. This is the synthetic version commonly found in cheap multivitamins. It must be converted in the body before use. Some people, especially those with liver or kidney issues, don't process it well. Methylcobalamin. This is the active, bioavailable form of B12. It's immediately usable by your cells and is the preferred option for people with absorption problems, nerve symptoms, or chronic fatigue. For seniors, methylcobalamin is the gold standard. It's more expensive but far more effective, and especially important if you want to restore nerve function in your legs, improve balance, and reduce fall risk. Now, how should you take it? There are three main delivery methods, each with their pros and cons. Sublingual tablets or sprays under the tongue. This is the most common and accessible option. You simply place the tablet under your tongue and let it dissolve slowly. The B12 is absorbed directly into your bloodstream through the mucous membranes, bypassing the digestive tract entirely. This method is ideal for people with low stomach acid, older adults, or those with absorption challenges. Most people take 1,000 micrograms per day, or 2,000 to 5,000 micrograms per week, depending on their needs. Injections, intramuscular or subcutaneous. This method is often used for people with severe deficiency, anemia, or advanced nerve damage. Injections deliver B12 straight into the bloodstream, ensuring full absorption. They are usually administered by a healthcare provider, though some patients are trained to self-inject. Typical protocols include initial loading dose, 1,000 micrograms every 2 to 3 days for 2 weeks. Maintenance dose, 1,000 micrograms every month. Injections may sound intimidating, but they are painless and extremely effective, especially when leg coordination or balance is already impaired. High-dose oral tablets. Although less common in seniors with absorption issues, some people still benefit from high-dose B12 tablets, e.g., 1,000 to 2,000 micrograms, taken by mouth. Even if only 1% is absorbed, it can still be enough to meet daily needs. However, this method should be used under guidance, and only when sublingual or injectable forms aren't available. Whichever method you choose, the key is consistency. B12 levels take time to rebuild, especially in the nervous system. Nerve tissue heals slowly. You may need several weeks or even months of regular supplementation before you feel the full benefits. The earliest improvements often include more energy during the day, better sleep at night, reduced leg tingling or numbness, stronger balance and quicker reflexes, improved mental clarity and memory. It's also important to track your progress. Ask your doctor for a follow-up B12 blood test after 6 to 8 weeks of supplementation. If your levels are still low, dosage or delivery method may need adjustment. Don't rely solely on standard normal range numbers. If you still feel symptoms, your body may need a higher threshold to function optimally. Let me share a story. Mr. Lamb, 75, came to me with signs of nerve weakness. His feet often felt numb, and he tripped a few times while walking in the garden. His blood test showed borderline B12 levels, technically normal, but low for someone his age and symptoms. We switched him to 1,000 micrograms methylcobalamin sublingual tablets daily. After 2 months, he told me he no longer needed to hold the handrail when walking upstairs. It's like the connection came back, he said. That's the difference between supplementing the right way and just taking a pill. Of course, supplementation isn't everything. For the best results, combine B12 support with lifestyle habits that improve overall nerve health. Eat a variety of B12-rich foods, as discussed in Part 6. Move your body gently each day to improve nerve muscle feedback. Reduce alcohol and smoking, which damage nerve pathways. Manage blood sugar if you have diabetes, since it worsens nerve damage. Sleep well. Nighttime is when the body heals nerve tissue. And always talk with your healthcare provider if you're starting B12 supplements, especially if you're on other medications or have chronic health conditions. B12 is safe, but it's most effective when tailored to your individual health profile. So here's your action plan. Choose methylcobalamin if possible. Start with 500 to 1,000 micrograms per day, sublingual, or follow injection protocol. Stay consistent for 6 to 12 weeks. Track symptoms and retest blood levels. Adjust as needed with medical support. By doing this, you're not just boosting your B12, you're rebuilding your nervous system. You're restoring the connection between your mind and movement, and you're giving your legs a chance to walk strong again. Not just today, but for many healthy years ahead. In the next section, we'll shift gears and explore another vital nutrient often forgotten: vitamin K, the quiet architect behind joint strength, bone resilience, and calcium balance. Because leg health isn't just about nerves, it's also about the structures that hold you up. You've probably heard of calcium for bone health, maybe even magnesium or vitamin D. But what if I told you that without vitamin K, all that calcium you've been taking might be going to the wrong places, into your arteries and joints instead of your bones? It sounds surprising, but it's true. And for anyone over 60 struggling with stiff knees, aching hips, or poor circulation in the legs, understanding how vitamin K works could be the missing link to regaining comfort and mobility. Vitamin K plays a quiet but critical role in your leg health. It acts like a traffic officer for calcium, guiding it to the bones where it strengthens your skeletal structure and keeping it out of the blood vessels and soft tissues where it can do harm. Without enough K, your body doesn't know where to put the calcium you consume. The result? Stiff joints, hardened arteries, and fragile bones. 3 things you absolutely want to avoid as you age. There are 2 main forms of vitamin K. Vitamin K1, phylloquinone, found mostly in green leafy vegetables. It supports healthy blood clotting and helps keep the circulatory system smooth. Vitamin K2, menaquinone, found in fermented foods and animal products. It helps deposit calcium into bones and prevents it from building up in soft tissues. While both are important, K2 is especially valuable for seniors because it activates a protein called osteocalcin, which binds calcium to the bone matrix. It also stimulates matrix GLA protein, MGP, which prevents calcium from accumulating in blood vessel walls. In other words, K2 makes sure calcium strengthens your legs, instead of stiffening your arteries or clogging your joints. Let me explain it this way. Imagine calcium as cement. Vitamin D helps you absorb it, but vitamin K tells it where to go. Without K, the cement is delivered all over the place. Some to your bones, yes, but some also hardens in your arteries, ligaments, and joints. That's when you begin feeling knee stiffness, hip tightness, or that cracking, grinding feeling when you stand up or walk. One study from the Tufts University School of Medicine found that older adults with low K2 intake were more likely to have joint discomfort and reduced flexibility in their legs. Another published in the journal Nutrients showed that vitamin K2 supplementation improved bone density in postmenopausal women and reduced the risk of fractures. But the benefits aren't limited to bones. K2 also improves vascular flexibility, which helps blood flow more freely to your legs and feet, reducing fatigue, coldness, or that heavy leg sensation after walking. So how do you know if you're getting enough? Most people, especially those who don't eat many greens or fermented foods, fall short. The average diet provides some K1 through vegetables like spinach, kale, and broccoli. But K2 is much harder to find, especially if you don't regularly eat natto, a fermented soybean dish popular in Japan, aged cheeses, egg yolks, or organ meats. And here's the challenge. Even if you're getting calcium through dairy or supplements without enough vitamin K2, you're risking calcification in the wrong places. One of my patients, Mrs. Lon, 72, had been taking calcium and vitamin D for years to protect her bones. But she still experienced hip stiffness and was diagnosed with early-stage arterial calcification. When we reviewed her diet, she had almost no sources of vitamin K2. We began adding small portions of aged cheese, eggs, and fermented vegetables to her meals, along with a K2 supplement. 3 months later, her joint stiffness decreased significantly, and her follow-up scans showed improved vascular flexibility. She told me it's like my body started placing the bricks where they belong. So what can you do to support your bones and joints with vitamin K? Start with food sources. K1-rich foods. Spinach, kale, Swiss chard, collard greens, cabbage, parsley, broccoli. K2-rich foods. Natto, highest source, aged cheese like Gouda or Brie, egg yolks, butter from grass-fed cows, chicken thighs, liver. Aim for a mix of both, but focus on K2 if joint stiffness or bone loss is a concern. Try adding a few forkfuls of fermented vegetables like sauerkraut or kimchi with your meal, or have a boiled egg and a slice of aged cheese with lunch. These small additions build up over time. For those unable to get enough through food, or who already have signs of calcification, K2 supplements may help. Look for products containing -7 Malawian kwaches, the most bioavailable and long-lasting form of K2. Dosage typically ranges from 90 to 180 micrograms per day, depending on your health status and diet. Always speak with your doctor first, especially if you're taking blood thinners like warfarin, which interact with vitamin K. And don't forget, vitamin K works best in combination with other nutrients. Particularly, vitamin D3 enhances calcium absorption into the bloodstream. Magnesium helps keep calcium in balance and reduces muscle cramps. Calcium must be properly directed by K2 to avoid deposits in arteries. These 4 nutrients work as a team. When balanced, they protect your bones, soften your joints, and keep your blood vessels elastic. When imbalanced, especially when calcium and D are taken without K2, trouble begins. So if you're struggling with morning knee pain, hip discomfort, or that sensation of dry joints when walking, don't assume it's just age or arthritis. It could be your body's way of saying, I need help guiding this calcium. And vitamin K is that guide. In the next part, we'll explore how this guidance translates into real-world relief, how K prevents joint pain, supports smooth knee movement, and makes those everyday motions, sitting, standing, walking, feel more natural again. Because strong legs aren't just about the muscles or the nerves. They're also about the invisible balance of nutrients that keeps everything working in harmony. If you've ever stood up from a chair and felt your knees click, your hips resist, or your joints ache with a stiffness that wasn't there years ago, you're not alone. Many people over 60 experience some level of joint discomfort, but few realize that this may be linked not just to wear and tear, but to a quiet nutrient deficiency. And one of the most overlooked defenders of smooth, pain-free joints is vitamin K. We often hear about vitamin K in the context of blood clotting, but what many people don't know is that it also plays a vital role in joint protection, especially when it comes to directing calcium properly in the body. When vitamin K is deficient, calcium tends to settle where it shouldn't, in the soft tissues around joints, ligaments, and cartilage, causing tightness, pain, and limited mobility. Over time, this misplaced calcium leads to calcification, a hardening of soft tissue that makes bending, standing, or walking feel rigid and uncomfortable. Imagine your knee joint like a door hinge. For it to swing smoothly, it needs to be well-oiled, flexible, and free of debris. Now imagine that debris, small bits of hardened calcium, starting to accumulate in the hinge. Over time, it creaks, grinds, or doesn't fully open. That's exactly what's happening inside many aging knees or hips when vitamin K is low. Your joints are still strong, but they're losing their natural glide. Multiple studies now link low vitamin K levels with increased joint degeneration, especially in people over 60. A notable study in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that adults with lower blood levels of vitamin K were more likely to develop knee osteoarthritis and report joint pain. Other research from Tufts University found that people with higher vitamin K intake moved more freely and had better joint flexibility. So how does vitamin K protect your joints? First, it activates a protein called MGP, matrix GLA protein, one of your body's most powerful natural inhibitors of soft tissue calcification. This protein prevents calcium from sticking to cartilage, blood vessels, and the connective tissues around your knees and hips. Without MGP and without enough vitamin K to activate it, your joints become vulnerable to calcium deposits that slowly erode flexibility. Second, vitamin K supports the structure of your bones through osteocalcin, which binds calcium into your bone matrix instead of letting it float around in your bloodstream. This has a double effect. Bones grow stronger, while joints stay clearer. That means less inflammation, fewer bone spurs, and a reduced risk of bone-on-bone pain. Third, vitamin K has been shown to reduce inflammatory markers in joint tissue. This is particularly relevant for people with early-stage arthritis or chronic joint stiffness. When joints are inflamed, movement becomes more difficult, not just because of pain, but because of swelling and internal heat. Vitamin K2, especially in the -7 Malawian Quatches form, helps calm this inflammation at the molecular level, keeping the joint environment healthy and balanced. If you've been experiencing signs like morning stiffness in your knees or hips, cracking or popping sounds when you walk, a tight feeling after sitting for too long, pain in your joints after light activity, difficulty squatting, kneeling, or climbing stairs, then your body may be signaling a need for more vitamin K. These are early warning signs of joint calcification and soft tissue hardening, things that can be improved, even reversed, with better nutritional support. Now let's talk food. Some of the best vitamin K1 sources include spinach, kale, broccoli, mustard greens, parsley. These vegetables support general vascular health and offer some joint benefits. But if you want to directly target joint calcification and bone protection, you'll need vitamin K2, which comes from natto, fermented soybeans, the highest source, aged cheeses, Gouda, brie, Edam, egg yolks, chicken thighs, goose liver, sauerkraut, and other fermented vegetables. Try adding a few slices of aged cheese to your daily meals, mixing fermented vegetables into your lunch, or enjoying a soft-boiled egg for breakfast. These small habits slowly rebuild your K2 reserves and allow your body to redirect calcium away from your joints, where it causes pain, and back into your bones, where it belongs. For those unable to get enough through food, K2 supplements are safe and effective. Look for -7 Malawian Quatches, the form that stays in the bloodstream longer and is more readily absorbed. Typical dosages for bone and joint support range from 90 to 180 micrograms per day. Pair your K2 with vitamin D3 and magnesium for optimal results. This trio supports absorption, balance, and delivery of calcium to the right places. Of course, supplementation is just one part of the picture. Movement helps too. Gentle walking, stretching, tai chi, or yoga stimulate joint fluid and prevent stiffness. The more you move, the more nutrients flow into your joint spaces. But when movement becomes painful, many seniors stop moving altogether, which worsens the problem. That's why supporting your joints from the inside out with vitamin K is so important. Let me tell you about Mr. Hai, 68 years old. He loved gardening but had stopped tending his plants because of chronic knee stiffness. He assumed it was arthritis and tried over-the-counter pain relief, but it didn't help much. After reviewing his diet, we realized he wasn't getting any K2. He started eating 2 boiled eggs a day, added a small cube of aged cheese to his dinner, and began taking a daily -7 Malawian Quatches supplement. 6 weeks later, he was back in the garden. The pain didn't vanish overnight, he told me. But one day I realized I could kneel without groaning. That's the power of addressing the root cause rather than just treating the symptoms. In the next part, we'll break down the difference between vitamin K1 and K2 and explain why both matter, but especially K2 when it comes to supporting strong, flexible legs as we age. Because preventing joint stiffness isn't just about doing stretches or avoiding stairs. It's about giving your body the nutrients it needs to move naturally, fluidly, and confidently again. Vitamin K is often spoken about as a single nutrient, but in reality it comes in 2 distinct forms, K1 and K2. Both play important roles in the body, but they function differently, especially when it comes to protecting your legs, joints, and bones as you get older. If you're over 60 and dealing with stiffness, joint pain, or concerns about bone density, understanding the difference between K1 and K2 could help you make smarter dietary and supplement choices that lead to real, long-lasting improvement. Let's start with vitamin K1, also known as phylloquinone. This form of vitamin K is found mostly in green leafy vegetables like kale, spinach, collard greens, and broccoli. Its primary job is to support blood clotting. K1 activates proteins that allow your blood to clot properly when you have a cut or injury. Without enough K1, wounds might bleed longer, and bruising becomes more common. That's why doctors have always emphasized eating leafy greens. They're rich in this essential clotting vitamin. Vitamin K1 also supports general vascular health, keeping the inner lining of blood vessels smooth and less prone to inflammation. But here's what's important to understand. K1 is not as active in bones or joints. Its benefits are mainly seen in the circulatory system. Now let's talk about vitamin K2, or menaquinone. This is the form that makes a powerful difference in bone strength, joint flexibility, and calcium regulation, all of which directly impact how your legs feel and function. Unlike K1, which works mostly in the liver, K2 travels throughout the body, activating key proteins that manage where calcium goes. This includes osteocalcin, which deposits calcium into your bones, increasing density and strength. Matrix GLA protein, MGP, which prevents calcium from settling into arteries, joints, and soft tissues. This is why K2 is so important after age 60. As we age, our bones naturally lose mass, and our arteries are more likely to accumulate calcium, a process called arterial calcification. K2 helps prevent both. It keeps your skeleton strong while ensuring your blood vessels and joints remain flexible and clear. Here's where many seniors get confused. If I eat spinach and broccoli every day, isn't that enough? The answer is not quite. K1 and K2 are absorbed and used differently by the body. While K1 is mostly used up in the liver for clotting, K2 circulates longer and is more effective in areas like bones, joints, and the cardiovascular system. A study published in the journal Thrombosis and Hemostasis found that K2 remains in the bloodstream up to 72 hours, while K1 disappears in just a few hours. That means K2 has more time to activate protective proteins and direct calcium properly. So, which one do you need more of after 60? The answer is both, but especially K2. K1 keeps your blood clotting system functioning properly. It also supports overall vascular health. But if you're worried about osteoporosis, joint stiffness, or calcium buildup, then K2 is the form your body is likely missing. That's because modern diets, especially in the West, are low in K2-rich foods. K2 is found mainly in natto, fermented soybeans, popular in Japan, aged cheeses, Gouda, Edam, brie, egg yolks, liver, fermented vegetables, like kimchi or sauerkraut. If you're not eating these regularly, your K2 intake is probably low. This may help explain why, even with adequate calcium and vitamin D, many seniors still develop brittle bones or joint pain. Calcium needs a guide, and K2 is that guide. Let's take the example of Mr. Tan, a 66-year-old man who had been taking calcium supplements for years to strengthen his bones. Yet he still felt stiffness in his knees and discomfort when walking long distances. Blood tests showed his calcium and D levels were fine, but his vitamin K2 was low. We added fermented vegetables, 2 eggs per day, and a low-dose K2 supplement to his daily routine. Within a month, his knee mobility improved noticeably. I didn't know calcium could go to the wrong places, he told me. Now it feels like everything's in sync. What about supplements? Should you take K1 or K2, or both? If you're on a standard multivitamin, it likely contains K1. That's good, but it's not enough. For people over 60, especially those at risk for osteoporosis, arthritis, or cardiovascular calcification, a K2 supplement in the -7 Malawian Quatches form is highly recommended. -7 Malawian Quatches is a long-acting form of K2 that stays in the body longer and activates more proteins compared to other forms like -4 Malawian Quatches. The recommended dosage for seniors is usually 90 to 180 micrograms per day, depending on dietary intake and medical history. Important note, if you're on blood-thinning medication, like warfarin, you must consult your doctor before starting any vitamin K supplement. K1 and K2 can affect clotting and may interfere with your dosage. To summarize, vitamin K1 equals leafy greens, good for blood clotting. Vitamin K2 equals fermented foods and animal products, essential for bones and joints. Over 60, prioritize K2 for calcium balance, joint comfort, and leg strength. And the best approach? Combine both. Eat your greens. Add in eggs, aged cheese, or fermented vegetables a few times a week. If needed, take a -7 Malawian Quatches supplement and pair it with vitamin D and magnesium for full calcium coordination. That's how you keep your legs moving freely, not just through stretches and movement, but through nutrients that protect the systems underneath. In the next section, we'll turn this information into a practical plan. A daily meal and habit guide that naturally boosts your vitamin K intake without needing extreme changes. Because staying strong after 60 isn't about restriction. It's about smart nourishment, and giving your body the tools it needs to protect itself from the inside out. Getting enough vitamin K into your body every day doesn't have to be complicated. You don't need to count calories, weigh food, or follow some rigid diet plan. In fact, some of the most powerful vitamin K sources can be added into your regular meals with just a little thought and care. Whether you prefer traditional Vietnamese dishes or Western-style meals, there are simple ways to boost both K1 and K2 intake, so you can protect your bones, improve leg flexibility, and support overall health with ease. Let's begin with breakfast. This is often the easiest time to incorporate vitamin K2, especially if you enjoy eggs or dairy. Start your day with 2 soft-boiled eggs. The yolks are rich in K2 and also offer healthy fats and protein to keep you energized. A slice of whole grain toast with aged cheese. Choose cheeses like Gouda, Brie, or Edam. These are naturally fermented and contain more K2 than standard cheeses. A cup of green smoothie. Blend spinach, banana, a slice of avocado, and water or fortified soy milk. Spinach gives you K1, and the healthy fats help your body absorb it better. This kind of breakfast takes less than 15 minutes to prepare and already gives you a solid dose of both vitamin K1 from spinach and K2 from eggs and cheese. For lunch, focus on combining vegetables with proteins that carry K2. A balanced, senior-friendly lunch plate might include grilled chicken thigh. Dark meat has more K2 than chicken breast. Stir-fried kale or mustard greens with garlic and olive oil. A side of fermented vegetables like kimchi or pickled mustard leaves. A small bowl of brown rice or sweet potato. This meal hits 3 key goals. It supports your joints with vitamin K1, loads your bones with K2, and enhances gut health with fermented foods, which may also help with overall vitamin absorption. If you prefer vegetarian lunches, swap chicken for a hard-boiled egg and add tofu to your greens. Top with nutritional yeast flakes for extra K2, if fortified. For snacks, keep things simple but smart. Plain yogurt with walnuts. Dairy plus healthy fats, and the fermentation process supports digestion. Carrot sticks with hummus and parsley. Fresh parsley is a surprisingly good source of vitamin K1. A slice of aged cheese with cucumber slices or whole grain crackers. These quick bites are perfect for keeping your energy up and delivering consistent vitamin K throughout the day. At dinner, bring it all together. You don't need to cook anything fancy. Just combine familiar ingredients with intention. Here's one example. Steamed salmon or sardines, omega-3s for joints, and K2 in the skin and bones. Boiled or sautéed cabbage with a little sesame oil. An excellent K1 source. A serving of natto if you can handle the strong flavor, or a spoon of sauerkraut on the side. A warm miso soup with seaweed to help digestion and round out the meal. If you prefer more local flavors, a bowl of kankai, mustard green soup, or rau muong luwak, boiled water spinach, with a small dish of fish or egg will also do the trick. Add fermented bean curd or pickled radish for variety and extra nutrients. Not everyone enjoys fermented foods, and that's okay. You can still get your vitamin K2 through supplements, such as -7 Malawian kwaches, 90 to 180 micrograms daily, eggs, preferably with yolks still slightly soft, grass-fed butter or liver dishes once or twice a week. The key is not perfection but consistency. Think of it like watering a plant. A little each day keeps the roots strong. Eating a big bowl of kale once a month won't have much effect, but a handful of greens with lunch and dinner? That adds up. Let's look at a sample daily plan to give you a full day of vitamin K support. Morning. Boiled eggs, 2. Whole wheat toast with a slice of brie. Spinach smoothie. Spinach plus banana plus soy milk. Midday. Grilled chicken thigh. Boiled greens. Cabbage or kale. Pickled vegetables. Small portion of brown rice. Green tea. Snack. Plain yogurt. 5 to 6 walnuts. Optional 1 square of aged cheese. Evening. Steamed salmon or tofu. Garlic stir-fried mustard greens. Miso soup with tofu and seaweed. Slice of orange or pineapple for vitamin C. This plan is flexible, affordable, and realistic for seniors living alone, with family, or even in care facilities. It also blends both K1 from greens and vegetables, and K2 from eggs, fermented foods, cheese, and meat in a natural way, without needing to chase obscure health products or spend hours in the kitchen. A few quick tips to remember as you build your vitamin K routine. Cook vegetables lightly. Overboiling leafy greens can reduce their K content. Steaming or sautéing helps preserve nutrients. Add healthy fat. Vitamin K is fat-soluble, meaning it absorbs better when eaten with oil, eggs, nuts, or avocado. Be mindful with medications. If you're taking blood thinners, consult your doctor before increasing vitamin K intake significantly. And most importantly, enjoy your meals. These aren't special diets. They're delicious, nourishing foods that you may already love, just arranged with more purpose. Eating this way helps your legs stay strong, your joints stay mobile, and your circulation stay free from harmful calcium buildup. In the next part, we'll shift focus to another nutrient that works closely with vitamin K: potassium. This humble mineral helps your muscles contract and relax, keeps your legs from cramping, and supports every movement you make. It's one of the quiet heroes of mobility, and it's often missing from modern diets. Let's explore how potassium fits into the full picture of strong, stable legs as we continue this journey toward healthier aging. Every time you take a step, lift your foot, or move your legs, even just to shift positions in your chair, your muscles are responding to a tiny electrical signal. That signal travels through your nerves and into your muscle fibers. But for that signal to be received and executed smoothly, your body needs the right minerals in balance. And one of the most essential of these is potassium. Potassium is an electrolyte, which means it carries an electrical charge that helps regulate nerve impulses and muscle contractions. Think of it like the battery that keeps your muscles moving in sync with your brain. Without enough potassium, your muscles can't contract or relax properly. You may feel cramps, stiffness, sudden spasms, or that heavy, dragging sensation in your legs that slows your every movement. What's more, potassium doesn't just help muscles move. It also keeps your heart rhythm steady, your blood pressure stable, and your fluid balance regulated. It's involved in hundreds of functions throughout the body. But when it comes to leg strength and stability, its role is especially critical. Let's break this down a little. When your brain decides to move a muscle, it sends a signal through your nervous system. That signal causes a small shift in the balance of potassium and sodium inside and outside your muscle cells. This shift allows the muscle to contract. Once the movement is complete, potassium helps the muscle reset, allowing it to relax and get ready for the next command. Now imagine what happens if potassium levels are too low. The signal becomes weak or delayed. The muscle may contract too strongly, causing a cramp, or fail to fully respond, making your movement feel sluggish or clumsy. Over time, this can result in frequent leg fatigue, poor coordination, and a higher risk of falling, especially when standing up, climbing stairs, or changing direction quickly. According to the National Institutes of Health, potassium deficiency, also known as hypokalemia, is one of the leading hidden causes of muscle weakness in older adults. It can be triggered by many factors common in seniors, such as low fruit and vegetable intake, diuretics, often prescribed for high blood pressure or heart disease, chronic digestive issues or kidney problems, excessive sweating or dehydration, long-term use of certain medications like corticosteroids or antibiotics. The symptoms of low potassium can be subtle at first: mild muscle twitching, tingling in the calves, or fatigue that seems out of proportion to your activity. But as the deficiency worsens, the symptoms become harder to ignore. Nighttime leg cramps that jolt you awake, shaky or unstable knees when walking, irregular heartbeat or fluttering in the chest, dizziness when standing up, overall muscle weakness, especially in the legs and thighs. Let me share a story. Mrs. Han, 71, told me she had stopped going to the market because she felt her legs just didn't want to move. She assumed it was arthritis or aging. But when we reviewed her diet, she was hardly eating any fruits or vegetables and had recently started a diuretic medication. A simple blood test confirmed her potassium levels were low. After increasing her intake of potassium-rich foods and making small adjustments to her medication plan with her doctor, her energy returned, and so did her confidence. So how can you boost your potassium levels naturally? Thankfully, potassium is found in many delicious and accessible foods, including bananas. One medium banana has around 420 milligrams. Sweet potatoes. One baked medium potato can contain 540 to 700 milligrams. Spinach, kale, and Swiss chard leafy greens are loaded with potassium. Beans and lentils great in soups or stews. Avocados. Half an avocado has about 480 milligrams. Tomatoes, fresh or in juice, rich in potassium and lycopene. Coconut water, a hydrating option, especially after exercise. Oranges and orange juice, citrus fruits offer potassium with a vitamin C bonus. The recommended daily intake of potassium for adults is around 2,600 milligrams for women and 3,400 milligrams for men. Unfortunately, studies show that most seniors get far less than this, often because of low appetite, restrictive diets, or fear of sugar in fruit. But it's important to remember that natural potassium-rich foods like bananas, melons, or sweet potatoes are whole foods, full of fiber and antioxidants. They don't spike blood sugar the way processed foods do. Try building your daily meals with potassium in mind. Breakfast: oatmeal topped with banana slices and chia seeds. Lunch: grilled chicken with a side of steamed spinach and sweet potato. Snack: a cup of coconut water or a small bowl of yogurt with fruit. Dinner: lentil soup with diced tomatoes and a salad with avocado. Simple, satisfying, and rich in the mineral your muscles need to move freely. What about supplements? In some cases, especially when potassium loss is caused by medications or medical conditions, your doctor may recommend potassium supplements. But these must be taken with caution. High doses of potassium can be dangerous for people with kidney problems or those on specific medications. Always get a blood test first before starting supplements, and never self-medicate with potassium pills. Instead, focus first on your plate. Not only is food safer, it's also more complete. Whole foods provide other nutrients that work together with potassium, such as magnesium, calcium, and vitamin B6. Together, they help maintain electrical balance, reduce muscle spasms, and improve muscle recovery after activity. And don't forget hydration. Water plays a role in moving potassium into and out of your cells. Dehydration can make a mild deficiency worse. Aim to drink small amounts of water throughout the day and include watery foods like cucumbers, melons, or broth-based soups to keep your muscles well-nourished and well-hydrated. In the next part, we'll dive deeper into the best potassium-rich foods for leg health and how to build a weekly rotation that makes leg strength, flexibility, and movement feel more natural again. Because when potassium is in balance, your legs don't just move, they move with purpose. Have you ever been jolted awake in the middle of the night by a sudden, sharp cramp in your calf? That intense, twisting pain that makes you jump out of bed and hobble around for relief? For many people over 60, these nighttime leg cramps are a frustrating and painful reality. But one of the simplest, most natural solutions lies not in medication, but on your plate. And it all starts with potassium-rich foods. Potassium is a mineral that acts like a gatekeeper in your muscles. It helps your muscle fibers contract and relax smoothly. When your potassium levels are low, those gates don't open or close properly, and your muscles can seize up suddenly, causing those painful cramps. Especially at night, when circulation slows and the body becomes more prone to imbalances. The good news? With a few small dietary adjustments, you can gently restore potassium balance and dramatically reduce the frequency and severity of leg cramps. Let's walk through the most powerful natural sources of potassium that are both delicious and easy to include in your everyday meals. First up, bananas. They're often the first food people think of when they hear potassium, and for good reason. One medium banana delivers around 420 milligrams of potassium, and it comes wrapped in a package of natural sugars, fiber, and vitamin B6, perfect for a morning boost or pre-bedtime snack to prevent cramps during the night. But bananas aren't the only option. In fact, some other fruits and vegetables have even higher potassium content. Avocados. Half an avocado provides around 480 milligrams, plus healthy fats that support joint lubrication. Sweet potatoes. A medium-baked sweet potato can offer over 500 milligrams, and the complex carbs help keep your energy steady. Spinach and kale. Just 1 cup of cooked spinach can contain over 800 milligrams of potassium. Lightly steaming these greens keeps nutrients intact. White beans and lentils. Half a cup of cooked white beans contains about 500 milligrams, and they're packed with fiber and protein too. Butternut squash, roasted or in soup. It delivers nearly 600 milligrams per cup and is gentle on the stomach. Coconut water, a natural rehydration drink with about 600 milligrams per cup. Especially useful if you've been sweating or exercising. Now, let me tell you about Mr. Dung, a 67-year-old retired math teacher. He used to wake up every night around 3 a.m. with intense calf cramps. At first, he thought it was poor circulation or age-related stiffness. But after we reviewed his diet, we realized he was barely getting 1,000 milligrams of potassium per day, far below the recommended amount for older adults, which is 2,600 to 3,400 milligrams daily. By simply adding a morning smoothie with banana, spinach, and almond milk, and a potassium-rich dinner with lentils and sweet potato, his cramps almost completely disappeared within 2 weeks. But potassium isn't the only player. For these foods to truly work, your body also needs magnesium and calcium, which act as cofactors in muscle relaxation. That's why it's helpful to combine potassium-rich ingredients with pumpkin seeds for magnesium, low-fat yogurt or tofu for calcium, dark chocolate in moderation for magnesium and a little joy. The key is variety. Eating a wide range of whole foods ensures you're not only getting potassium, but the supporting nutrients needed to absorb and use it properly. If you want a simple framework, here's what a cramp-fighting daily meal plan could look like. Breakfast: oatmeal with banana slices and chia seeds, herbal tea or coconut water. Lunch: grilled salmon with roasted sweet potato and steamed kale, a small avocado on the side or mashed into a dressing. Snack: a handful of white beans tossed in olive oil and lemon, pumpkin seeds. Dinner: lentil stew with tomatoes and carrots, a side of yogurt or tofu stir-fry. Over the course of the day, this meal plan provides over 3,000 milligrams of potassium from natural sources. No pills, no side effects, just food that strengthens your muscles and supports your entire body. One important note: if you have kidney problems, you need to consult your doctor before increasing potassium. The kidneys are responsible for filtering out excess potassium, and if they're not working well, high potassium levels can become dangerous. But for healthy adults, especially those who take diuretics or blood pressure medication, increasing natural potassium is often not just safe, it's essential. Another helpful tip: space out your potassium intake. Don't eat all your potassium at dinner. Instead, distribute it across all meals and snacks. This helps your body absorb it more efficiently and maintain steady levels throughout the day, reducing the risk of those dreaded nighttime cramps. And of course, stay hydrated. Dehydration is a major trigger for leg cramps, especially in hot weather or after physical activity. Water helps your body deliver potassium to the cells where it's needed. Try sipping water consistently throughout the day, and consider coconut water if you need a gentle electrolyte boost without caffeine or sugar. You don't have to overhaul your entire diet overnight. Start with small changes. Add 1 potassium-rich food per meal. Choose whole ingredients you enjoy, and listen to your body. Within a few days, you may notice your legs feel steadier, your muscles more relaxed, and your sleep less interrupted by cramps or discomfort. In the next part, we'll explore how to build a 7-day potassium-focused meal plan, specifically designed for seniors to improve leg strength, prevent muscle fatigue, and support better balance. Because when you eat with intention, your body moves with freedom, and every step becomes stronger. Let's bring everything together. Over the past several sections, we've explored how specific nutrients, magnesium, vitamin K, potassium, can transform the strength, coordination, and flexibility of your legs after 60. But information alone doesn't change lives. Action does. And the simplest, most powerful action you can take: building a weekly meal plan that works for your lifestyle, your taste, and your health goals. This isn't a diet. It's not a short-term fix. It's a way of nourishing your body that naturally fuels your muscles, reduces leg cramps, prevents falls, and brings back the confidence to walk, climb stairs, and move freely. So here's your 7-day plan, carefully designed to include potassium, magnesium, and vitamin K at every meal, support joint health, and reduce inflammation. Be easy to prepare even for those living alone. Use simple, accessible ingredients available in most local markets. Let's walk through your new week. Day 1, Foundation of Strength. Breakfast, oatmeal with banana and pumpkin seeds. Lunch, grilled salmon with sweet potato and steamed kale. Dinner, lentil and carrot stew with a side of brown rice. Snack, coconut water and a handful of almonds. Day 2, Gentle Recovery. Breakfast, Greek yogurt with diced mango and chia seeds. Lunch, tofu stir-fry with bok choy, carrots, and sesame oil. Dinner, baked chicken thigh with roasted butternut squash and avocado. Snack, half an avocado on whole grain toast. Day 3, Anti-Cramp Day. Breakfast, smoothie with spinach, banana, soy milk, and flaxseed. Lunch, sardine salad with arugula, cucumber, and olive oil. Dinner, mushroom soup with lentils and kale, side of sweet corn. Snack, dark chocolate square plus a few walnuts. Day 4, Circulation Booster. Breakfast, scrambled eggs with sautéed spinach and mushrooms. Lunch, chickpea stew with tomatoes and cumin, side of quinoa. Dinner, pan-fried mackerel with mashed pumpkin and steamed green beans. Snack, coconut water or lightly salted edamame. Day 5, Joint Support Focus. Breakfast, rice porridge with soft-boiled egg and green onions. Lunch, grilled tofu with sesame braised cabbage and brown rice. Dinner, chicken soup with carrots, celery, and spinach. Snack, steamed sweet potato slices with cinnamon. Day 6, Leg Muscle Recharge. Breakfast, yogurt parfait with kiwi, oats, and chia. Lunch, white bean and kale soup, drizzle of olive oil. Dinner, baked trout with roasted zucchini and lentils. Snack, a banana and handful of pumpkin seeds. Day 7, Light and Balanced. Breakfast, smoothie with beetroot, banana, spinach, and almond milk. Lunch, stir-fried shrimp with snow peas, garlic, and brown rice. Dinner, butternut squash soup with spinach and quinoa. Snack, warm herbal tea and a small piece of dark chocolate. This plan gives you an average of 3,000 to 3,200 milligrams potassium daily, with strong doses of magnesium and vitamin K from greens, nuts, seeds, and legumes. There's variety, comfort, and cultural flexibility. You can season and adjust these meals according to your taste. But the core idea remains: use food as medicine for your legs. If you need to keep things simpler, pick 3 to 4 go-to meals and rotate them. For example, if you enjoy spinach smoothies, keep frozen spinach and bananas ready. If lentil stew comforts you in the evening, make a big batch to eat across 2 nights. One more tip: preparation is key. Spend 1 to 2 hours on Sunday chopping veggies, boiling legumes, and portioning ingredients into containers. That way, during the week, it's just 10 to 15 minutes to finish a meal. Also, don't forget water. Every nutrient we've mentioned works better when the body is well hydrated. Sip small amounts throughout the day. And if you walk regularly or live in a hot climate, double down. Let me end with a story. Mrs. Hong, a 72-year-old retired nurse from Benjum, was scared of falling. Her legs felt weak, her balance was off, and night cramps made sleep difficult. She started this meal plan with only 3 meals she enjoyed: sweet potato, spinach, and lentil soup. Over time, her energy returned. Her steps felt firmer. She began walking up her apartment stairs again, slowly but surely. She told me something I'll never forget. I didn't just eat better. I started to believe in my legs again. That's what I want for you. Because when you feed your muscles feed your freedom. As we reach the end of this journey, take a moment to reflect on how far you've come. Not just through this video, but in your understanding of your own body. Weak legs, balance issues, and muscle loss after 60 aren't just natural aging. More often, they're signals. Gentle reminders that your body is asking for support. And the good news is, you're not helpless. You now know which vitamins, like B12, D, K, and potassium play a direct role in keeping your legs strong, your nerves sharp, and your coordination steady. You've seen how specific foods and simple choices can protect your independence and restore a sense of physical freedom you may have thought was gone. It's not about chasing perfection or making drastic changes. It's about reclaiming confidence one meal, one habit, one step at a time. Whether it's a banana in the morning, spinach with lunch, or a magnesium-rich smoothie at night, each choice is a vote for your strength. So don't wait until your legs give out to start caring for them. Start with just one thing from today's video. And remember, every strong step begins with a strong decision. Because after 60, your legs don't just carry your body. They carry your freedom,